The Game Awards are coming up, and I wanted to make a video with some predictions, both regarding the awards and potential game reveals. I'm not making any entire lists of everything that I think will happen, every game that I think will win, every game I think will be revealed. I'll just talk about some specific things I've been thinking about. I'll split the video into two parts. The first one where I talk about awards, and the second one where I talk about reveals. It will be timestamped, so you can check out whatever part interests you. When it comes to the nominees for the awards, this is a strong year, especially for the GOTY candidates. It might be the best GOTY candidate list in a very long time. I genuinely believe that any of these games could have won in a different year. But there is an obvious favorite here, and it's Expidition 33. And the question is, will they sweep? They have been nominated for Game of the Year, Game Direction, Narrative, Art Design, Score and Music, Audio Design. They have 3 nominations for the Best Performance. They're nominated for Best Indie Game, Best Debut Indie, and Best RPG. But honestly, I don't think that they will sweep. If you think back to 2023, everyone said that Baldur's Gate 3 would sweep as well. And they were the clear favorite for Game of the Year and the obvious winner. Yet, Alan Wake 2 won Game Direction, Narrative, and Art Direction, beating out BG3 in 2 of those categories. And this is when I think it's important to think of the categories themselves. I agree that Alan Wake should have won Narrative. Is Baldur's Gate 3 a better game than Alan Wake 2? I think most people would agree with that. Did it have a great story? I'd say so. But as a put-together narrative, did Alan Wake 2 have a better vision and a better put-together narrative? Not story necessarily, but narrative. Absolutely. And this is when we have to look at the specifics of the categories. So rather than talking about where I think Expedition 33 will win, I think it's easier to talk about the categories where they could lose, mostly based on the categories themselves. With that said, I don't think Expedition 33 is going to lose all of these. I'm just going to present the categories where I think they could. Starting off, I think KCD2 probably could win RPG of the Year. I know that Expedition 33 counts as an RPG, but if you think about the core of what an RPG is, the actual role-playing, the immersion, KCD2 is a better RPG. It doesn't mean it's a better game. If every category was about the best game in the category, I think Expedition 33 would win. But that's not what it's about, as we discussed earlier. So KCD2 for RPG, very probable. And I can also see Hades 2 or Silksong win Best Art Direction, since they have quite unique art styles with very clear directions. I could also see Troy Baker could in theory win Best Performance, especially if the vote gets split between Ben Starr, Charlie Cox, and Jennifer English. He could absolutely stand a chance. And I could absolutely see a world where Best Independent goes to Blue Prince, Silksong, or Hades 2. Best Debut Indie, I would personally want Dispatch to win, but I actually doubt that would be the case. They also might drop Audio Design to Battlefield 6 or something. I honestly don't know enough on the subject to comment. Other than that, I honestly can't see Expedition 33 losing at things like Score and Music. And before moving on to the reveals part, I just want to mention that Sonic 3 was robbed in the Best Adaptations nominations. It should be eligible since it released on the 20th of December last year. I'm just saying. It almost feels rigged so that the Minecraft movie would win. But that's just a conspiracy theory. When it comes to reveals, it's always hard to predict, but what we have to base predictions on are rumors, previous behavior from the gaming companies, and just a personal hunch. What I mean by the previous behavior of gaming companies is if a company has never revealed a game at the Game Awards before, odds are they won't this time either. And vice versa. If a company has had a trailer for every game they've released at the Game Awards, then yeah, the odds are that they will put their next one there as well. So starting on that note, Remedy has a history with the Game Awards, and Sam Lake is on very good terms with Jeff Keighley. Remedy is a public company, so in their quarterly reports, we've seen that Max Payne Remake 1 and 2 are coming out next year, 2026, and Control 2 is coming out 2027. We also know that there are potential movies or TV shows based on the Control, Alan Wake, Remedyverse through their partnership with Annapurna, though we don't know for sure if anything is in the works yet. Since Max Payne is releasing next year, it would make sense to show a trailer here. And I think that's sort of likely, though the publisher for that game is Rockstar. And Rockstar does not have a history of revealing games at the Game Awards. They've actually never revealed anything there. I think they've shown trailers for games that are already revealed, such as GTA 6, but they don't tend to spend the money there since they're already so big. So I almost think the chances are that we'll see a Control 2 teaser at this year's Game Awards rather than the Max Payne remake. But considering Control 2 being further away, I'd say there's about a 50-50 on which one of them is going to show up. And there's a dark horse that a show or movie could rear its head. But I can almost guarantee that something from Remedy is showing up at this year's Game Awards. Another large IP we know have their next iteration in the works is Tomb Raider. We know it's been worked on for a long time over at Crystal Dynamics. We know they brought in a support studio, we don't know who, and we know that it's being published by Amazon. According to rumors earlier in the year, it's supposed to be revealed in February, and the exact release date was supposed to depend on if GTA 6 got delayed, which it did. It's slated for an early 2026 release, so it would make sense for it to show up here, and Amazon has a history of showing off games at the Game Awards. I think it makes perfect sense that it would show up here, but these things had to be booked far in advance. And if the plan was, just a few months ago, to reveal the game in February, then I'm not sure if they would have had time to squeeze them in there. But it's such a large IP that it's sort of probable that they would have made space for it. I'd give it an above 50% chance of being there, maybe 65%. We know so much about this game, and yet we know so little. I would love to see just a teaser. Another, at this point, legacy IP is Metro. We know there's another Metro game in the works at 4A Games, and it's been in works for quite some time. Though I think the reason that it's taken so long is the war in Ukraine, since 4A has two studios, one in Malta and one in Kiev. It is expected to release sometime 2026-2027, so I think that would make a lot of sense as well. Though I do feel that maybe Metro isn't on the same level of IP as Tomb Raider, so maybe Metro is more of a Gamescom reveal kind of game. But nonetheless, it could happen. It definitely could. The next game I want to mention is the GOAT, Half-Life. Half-Life 3. There's been a lot of rumors, and I'm not buying it. I understand the hype, I understand the baiting, I understand the hints to there being a potential Half-Life 3, and I'm not even saying that it's not going to happen. But what I am saying is, why would Valve show it at the Game Awards? They have no history of this, and it doesn't really suit them. Just look at Deadlock. It was supposed to be sort of a secret, and then it wasn't, and then they just put it out there. Though it isn't technically released, but hundreds of thousands of people are playing it. It just doesn't seem like their style to have a big reveal trailer at a big award that you have to pay a lot of money for. Unless I suppose it's such a big deal that maybe Jeff would give it to them for free. I have no idea. I would honestly put this at maybe 15% chance. I highly doubt it. God of War is an IP I've heard some people mention, but I highly doubt that it will be shown. It is always possible with an early teaser, no gameplay, nothing. And we do know there are several projects in the works, but do I think it will show up here? Not really. I'd give it a 10% chance. Another large IP, which I think could potentially show a teaser here, is Cyberpunk 2. And I'm mostly thinking this since CD Projekt Red hasn't been scared of just letting the world know, putting out something very early, like they did with Witcher 4. People are gonna have to wait for years, but it's better to have the trailer out there rather than there being a bunch of leaks. And we know through their quarterly report that Cyberpunk 2 is in the works. So how far away is it? I genuinely have no idea. Could a teaser show up here? I think so. I think so. I'd put it at like 20%, but it's still very possible. I could in theory keep rambling up a bunch of games which have a low percentage chance of being shown, but I just wanted to mention the ones I have mentioned because I've seen others mention them, or because I personally think there's a big chance, or at least a chance. But one game I don't think I've seen anyone mention, which I personally am just throwing out there as a dark horse, is the KOTOR remake. It's been in the works for so long. It was with Aspyr, then it was moved to Saber under the Embracer Group, and then Saber was sold and went private, and has been for a bit now. We already know that it's still being actively worked on based on the information given when Embracer sold Saber. So assuming they had gotten any work done at all and could reuse anything that Aspyr actually made, I could definitely see a world where a teaser for KOTOR remake is shown. Mostly just to let people know that it's still alive. And though it isn't Half-Life 3, it would be a massive reveal considering the anticipation for the KOTOR remake. I'll stop rambling up random guesses now, but before I leave, I wanted to quickly touch on the marketing stunt that is the statue in the middle of the desert that has been trending recently, where people guess what it could possibly be about, and I genuinely have no idea. But we do know that it's not God of War, we know that it's not Diablo, and it would feel very weird for it to be just some random game. And as I said, I don't think it's Half-Life 3. I don't think it's Valve style. So genuinely, I have no idea. If I had to throw out a completely random guess just based on how it looks, I would have said Baldur's Gate 4, since we do know that Hasbro has looked for someone to make Baldur's Gate 4, even though Larian doesn't want to do it anymore. But I guess we'll just have to see how things turn out. And of course there are a lot of games which I'm pretty certain will appear, but that we already know about and that have already been revealed, where we might get some dates or some gameplay trailers, but I never find those as interesting. I always find the big reveals be the most interesting. And of course there are smaller games which would be very hard to guess from like a AA studio or something. But yeah, nonetheless, let me know if you agree, disagree, have any predictions of your own, and I will see you all later.